Hi, I'm Chris Templeton, and I'm the founder of Oh, the Stories We Tell. A number of years ago, I shared the basics of Oh, the Stories We Tell with a dear friend, Melodie Hilton. In February of 2020, we met and discussed doing a project she calls the Honesty Project. In this project, we have discussions about the issues she's faced and then a look at them through the Oh, the Stories We Tell lens. The result has been really wonderful, and we both hope you find value in the pieces to follow. Please bear with us as we get into the rhythm of doing these. Our first subject, annoying coworkers. We both look forward to your feedback and would love to know if this has been helpful for you. And if not, what do you think we missed? Finally, a thumbs up and a subscribe would be greatly appreciated. Thanks for watching. We look forward to your feedback.
Yeah, so in my professional career, there's been a couple of instances where I've run across, and I'm not stereotyping here, but it's both been with women who have started a job and been in that job like less than, in one case, hours, and in another case, a couple of days, who have reached out to me to complain about a process or procedure I've had in place, which is fine. And normally you listen and you say, thank you, and you maybe give them a little bit of background on why you made the decision. But the decision is going to stay in place and continue, especially since they're new and they can take a little bit of time to see the results. And then once the results have manifested, then there's time for a conversation for a little bit more additional feedback. So that's sort of the normal way that conversation goes. But in this particular situation, like I said, twice now, I've had people who have aggressively pushed back, aggressively to the point of not getting off of the phone, not listening to the normal verbal cues. And it's really difficult to not get defensive, not at a certain point hang up on them,
Right.
Which are both not appropriate responses and don't serve me or them. But at the same time, I've at a loss to come up with strategies to appropriately handle the situation when somebody's being a bulldog out of left field and then refuses to sort of be placated. They're in there for one thing, and that one thing is that they are going to demand that you change a process.
And is she your boss in this?
He was not. In both cases, these have been subordinates.
For some reason, when we get to a place where we're seeing somebody behave badly, what I call little me mode, which we all can kind of relate to in one way or another. The fascinating thing is that our typical and natural reaction is to go into little me mode ourselves, right? Well, what do you mean? What do you mean you don't want to shut this down? Let me tell you something, right? It's kind of the place we want to go, especially when somebody's behaving badly. Don't you feel like there's an element of that?
Oh yeah. I mean, what ends up happening is you first are surprised, then you offer the logical explanation, then you expect that the logical explanation is heard and processed. Yep. But what ends up happening then is somebody is like, oh no, oh no, oh no. And then what I do, which is why I'm calling the conversation, is I get combative too. I mean, I don't have much of a flight mode. I have a lot of a fight mode.
Well, it's good to know, and everybody does. So, I mean, I think there's so many levels to look at this, and the first one is that I think is to say this is natural. It's a natural reaction to be really bugged about what's going on, right? Because it is, and I don't think if anything you walk away from this conversation, what I never want to deny is what's natural. If it's happening in you, it's natural. And so having that understanding. My favorite quote is by Viktor Frankl. Do you know who he is?
Mm-hmm.
just for those who don't, he was a guy who was in the concentration camps in World War II, and for some reason was able to handle it and come out on the other end. He ended up becoming a psychiatrist, and his statement is something along the lines of, between stimulus and response, there's a space. And in that space lies our joy, our happiness, our meaningful life. So when you're in a conversation like that, your space initially, when this woman is going after you about this is the wrong thing to do, it might be here. But as she continues to talk at you and you continue to feel that you're in a defensive position, that space changes, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
So what happens is then we kind of go to default mode, which in this case is into little me land, and puts us in a situation where now you have two little me's going after each other. And it may be super mild on one end and not so mild on the other. But the bottom line is that we're both in little me land. And the way that I define little me land is what is the story I'm telling about what's going on in this moment. Is it serving me or is it not? And so if it's not, if I'm saying this person is such, God dang it, what are we going to do about you? That is thinking that doesn't serve you. It's problem focused. It's and so there's nothing wrong with that. It's our default place to be. But if we say, okay, what can I do to open up that space again? How can I create that space? Well, there's a bunch of things that we'll talk about. But the first thing is to recognize that whatever the story I'm telling in this moment isn't serving me. And if I know that it's not serving me, then I've immediately created a little bit more space to say, okay, how can I get this to a place where at least the story I'm telling about what this woman is up to with me is serving me. If I know that it's serving me, if I can say, and part of what the model deals with is understanding that this is little me land is where people go. And if you just know that one piece, and then you say, you know what, I can come up with a story that's going to help me to be and to have thinking that's serving me in this moment, I've created more space. So how does it apply with this woman? I see that she's, I'm listening to her and I'm seeing, oh my God, she's in little me mode, and I'm getting a little more moving to default little me, right? Where I'm in a responding kind. So knowing that she's in little me mode, because you can tell by the things that she's saying and doing, helps me to start to create an understanding. For some reason, this woman has got a story about what's going on that's not serving her, and now I'm on the receiving end of that. But at least I know that, because I know if she were having this conversation with me 2 or 3 different ways, I'd be fine with it, and we'd be having good back and forth, and it would be okay. So understanding just that one thing, I know that some people are in little me mode sometimes, and some people are able to stay out of that place and keep a level head, so to speak. When you talk about somebody having a level head, what you're basically saying is that person is staying, and the opposite, by the way, of little me mode is authentic me. Can I stay authentic where I recognize that this person and what this person is doing doesn't please me at all? It's no fun to be on the receiving end, but what can I do to bring that person back down to an authentic place? So you can't say, clearly the answer is not to say, well, you need to get the hell out of little me land, right? Because that's just going to inflame it. Mm-hmm. But what you can do is it's the kind of the Southwest customer service counter. The customer walks up as fuming mad, and what the person behind the counter does is lets them vent. I mean, and when you think about it, it's like letting air out of a balloon, isn't it? If somebody can just vent and vent and vent, And I can just sit there and take that and understand that this is really not as much about me as it is about the person that's venting. Then when they kind of conclude that, then I have the ability, they have a tendency to widen their space between stimulus and response and be able to hear what my reply is going to be. Does that help at all? Does that make sense in terms of kind of?
Sure. I mean, it definitely identifies her strategy, and it lets me know that there's a place for my strategy to not meet hers. But here's the $30,000 question, which is, how do I practice stopping myself jumping into your little me, battling her little me, when the only opportunity I get to practice it is under pressure?
Thanks for taking the time to watch this podcast. We look forward to your feedback and would greatly appreciate a thumbs up and even a subscribe. Take care.